Wild River, Chapter 20, A Sky Full of Stones. It's hard to believe we were once passengers in this crushed and ruined hunk of metal. Poor Sky, Amani says. He was a good guy. What they did was so brave. The van had once been white, but most of the paint has been scraped away, leaving bare steel. All of the windows are missing. There's a long gash in the roof, and what's left of the vehicle is swamped in about 3 feet of water. The tires are gone, ripped from the hubs. The seats have been mushed together. Anything inside? I remember there was gear in the back. Maybe stuff we didn't need on the river trip, but might come in handy now. Mia sounds almost wistful. Hanging onto a branch, I reach down as far as I can, plunging my hand free into the water, being careful because of all the jagged metal edges. My fingers find a plastic handle and I lift out the blue cooler, the one that had all the snacks. It's very heavy, way too heavy. Amani and Mia help me lift it free. We crack the lid. No surprise, the snacks are gone, and the cooler is full of water and sand. Keep looking, there must be more. I manage to get down into the wrecked vehicle, kneeling on what remains of the seats. Fishing around the muddy water, I recover the following treasures: a battered aluminum coffee pot, a coil of black rope, a tin box that's the twin of our fire starter box, a University of Montana baseball cap, a set of Allen wrenches, a utility knife. It's got to be there, Mia says, sounding desperate. What's got to be there? There was a cardboard box that I'm pretty sure had contained packets of freeze-dried. I remember because I had to move it to make room and Sky said to put it in the back. That explains her keen interest. Food. But if the box was in the back when we left the van, it's long gone, torn loose by the flood. I tell her as much, but she doesn't believe me and gets into the water to check for herself. She splashes around in frustration, coming up empty. I exchange a glance with Amani, who shrugs as if to say, there's no stopping Mia when she gets an idea in her head. While she's searching, I check out the fire starter box. There's water inside, but the matches are in sealed waterproof containers. Good. And the waxy fire starter cubes are ready to ignite. Excellent. For this alone, it was worth the long climb down. Add in the rope and the utility knife, it's a major find. Amani seems to be most interested in the aluminum coffee pot. She checks it out, and despite being battered and bent, it still holds water. For boiling, she says. We already have one. We can leave it for the enemy as a peace offering. Her expression is solemn, serious. She's given it some thought. Mia, when she finally accepts that there are no food packets in the wrecked van, agrees. We leave them the pot, matches, one packet of freeze-dried. Less reason for them to attack if they have food and a way to cook it. I'm not so sure. My guess is it doesn't matter what we give him. Deke wants it all. Working our way around the splintered trees, we find our way back to the base of the ravine. It's going to be harder going up than coming down. But maybe the rope we recovered will be useful. I'm thinking we should yoke ourselves together for the climb just to be on the safe side when a rock hits the ground at my feet. Barely missed my head. I look up to see where it came from, and suddenly the sky is full of stones. Surrender! Teak shouts from the top of the ravine. Surrender or die! Chapter 21. Run or die. I gotta say, an enemy raining stones down on your head is even scarier than confronting a mountain lion. We flee in panic, screaming for them to stop and take refuge behind a cluster of shattered trees. It's a miracle none of us got injured, unless they're throwing not to kill, but to scare. To force our surrender, once we're in a safe distance away, we scan the top of the ravine and spot Deke and Tony, stones in their fists and grins upon their faces. Give up, losers! Deke struts along the edge, brandishing his rocks. Next time we won't miss, and don't even think about shaking those stupid spears, because rocks break sticks. He slams the stones together, making his point. He looks jubilant up there on top of the world. Mia's voice is hushed. Amani? Daniel? Any ideas? Not really. If we run away, they'll keep following us, and maybe next time we get hurt, or worse. Amani says, we give them something, like we talked about, and then we get as far away from them as we can. From the top of the ravine, Deke shouts, "You better be talking about surrender, because that's the only way this ends." Tony's job seems to be gathering rocks. He has quite a pile ready to go. Mia unzips the backpack and prepares an offering, as Amani suggested. I feel like I should say something, make a plea for sanity, but don't want to make things worse. But I can't stop myself. Deke, Deke, this is crazy. We're stronger together than apart. He shakes his head. You had your chance and you blew it. You voted to stay with the losers. Tony lopes along the edge chanting, "Losers, losers, stupid girly losers." Mia says, "I've got this, Daniel." She moves out from behind the cluster of broken trees, holding up the coffee pot and lifts the lid. "For you! 2 packages of freeze-dried. See, 12 portions. A jar of matches, a pot to boil water. Come and get it." Deke screams, "I want it all!" Mia sets the pot down at the very edge of the river, within inches of moving water. "This won't stay here for long. The river will steal it. Hurry if you want to eat today." Up top, Deke and Tony are conferring. Deke points down and Tony nods. Then they back away from the edge, out of our sight. "Hurry!" Mia urges us. Amani and I catch up as she jogs along the riverbank. We have our spears, but we also have no doubt they'll be useless if the enemy makes it down from the top of the ravine before we're gone. Deke has that part right. His stones will crush our spears and our skulls if his aim is true. As soon as we get to a clear part of the riverbank with no debris blocking our path, we start to run. None of us needs to say a word. We know what the stakes are. Life or death. Run or die. Chapter 22. The Queen of Not Giving Up. We run for miles. We run until we drop to our knees, until Amani cries from the pain under her ribs. Mia scoops water from the river and lets the sand settle to the bottom of the pan. "We have to drink plenty of water. Slurping rainwater is fine, but we need to keep hydrated." "Do you think they took the bait?" I ask. "It's not bait, Daniel. That was sharing, but I hope so." Amani has recovered her breath enough to say scornfully, "Are you serious? They'll be stuffing their bellies by now. I bet they ate all 12 portions like they did last time." Mia agrees. "Deke is cruel and greedy, but he does understand we offered him a lifeline." "That doesn't mean he'll give up," Amani insists. "We're following the same river, heading for the same place. He'll find us." Mia nods. "You're right. We need to keep a watch. Don't let them sneak up on us again." We agree to be vigilant and keep moving. We bump our spears, give a quiet cheer, and continue on fast as we can walk. The crazy river bends so sharply that sometimes it almost reverses direction. We decide to climb up for a better view and find ourselves hiking along the very edge of the ravine, looking down at curls of water and the white in the water below. A few miles back, the river was clotted with broken trees and boulders, but not here. Too far from the broken dam? That's Amani's theory. Maybe the force of the flood got slowed down by all the twists and turns, or it just used itself up. The dam may be gone, but the flow of the water is still amazing. All the rain, it powers the river. Mia agrees. If we had a raft, we could use it for sure. I study the curve of the river. From above, you can almost see how it erodes the ravine walls, reshaping itself, almost like the river is alive. I guess in a way it is. "What if we made a raft?" Amani suggests. "Use the rope we found to tie some logs together." The idea hits me like a surge of electricity. "Yes, you're a genius." I give her a quick hug. She winces, clutching her side. "Sorry, sorry, sorry." She shakes off the apology. Mia's already checking the backpack for the blank rope retrieved from the remains of Sky's van. "You think this is strong enough? Will it hold?" There's only one way to find out. It takes us the rest of the day to climb down to the river level and find a few logs that are the right size. Big enough to float 3 kids, but small enough so we can drag them into place. If we had a saw or a hatchet, it would be a lot easier, but we don't. We work with what we have. What's in the pack and what's up here, Mia says, tapping her forehead. Have you ever built a log raft, Daniel? No, I admit. She grins, her eyes sparkling with energy. Me neither. There's always a first time, right? The hardest part is figuring out how to use the rope. The logs need to be lashed together, tight as can be, and that's a lot easier said than done. The knots keep slipping, and the rope loosens, no matter how many times we wrap it around each log. Our raft keeps falling apart, even before it gets launched into the surging river. Makes me wish I was a scout. They learn about knots, I think. Mia finally comes up with the idea of winding it tight, which is brilliant. We use a short stick, push it into the loose rope between logs, and then wind the stick until the rope tightens. Mia sasses Amani. Now who's the genius? It is I, Maria Valentina Garcia, queen of not giving up. We're sweaty and exhausted, not to mention hungry, and we agree the launch should wait until morning. That way we'll have the whole day to ride the current downriver and keep clear of Deke and Tony, who are no doubt trying to catch up with us. By this time tomorrow we'll be at our destination, Amani says confidently. Heck, we could be in a helicopter heading home, or a private jet. Wouldn't that be cool? We all agree it would be cool, whatever the form of transportation. It's fun imagining our rescue. What we didn't know is how wrong we were. Chapter 23, The Viz. We've gotten good at finding dry kindling. This time we build a fire bigger than we need to boil water, big enough to make us feel warm and safe and a little sleepy after we fill our bellies with freeze-dried rice and chicken. Raft building has left us so exhausted that at first no one has much to say. But when it's dark enough that we can barely see each other in the flames of the fading fire, Mia clears her throat. I've been thinking. Uh-oh, I joke. Danger zone. She ignores me. We worked together so great today, but we barely know each other. We need to share, because that's what friends do. Since this is my idea, I'll go first. She takes a deep breath. I was born with a hole in my heart. I was supposed to die, but this surgeon, Dr. Maria DeFranco, she decided to try an operation that had never been done before, not on newborns like me, and it worked. Because of her, I'm alive. And your heart is okay now? Amani sounds concerned. Totally normal, I say. That's why your name is Maria? Yes, that's why my name is Maria. Okay, Daniel, your turn. Tell us something about you we don't already know. Normally, I'd never share personal stuff about my family, but this isn't a normal situation. Maybe that's why I blurt out. My dad has bipolar disorder. Silence. I'm starting to think I've made a terrible mistake when Amani says very softly, I'm not sure what that is. And Mia adds, Me neither. It's a mental illness. Sometimes, if his medicine isn't working or he forgot to take it, he gets super excited and talks a mile a minute about stuff that doesn't make sense. Then, after a few days, it all crashes down and he's so depressed he can't get out of bed or take care of us. That's terrible. Yeah, my mom has to work the late shift as a registered nurse so she can get us off to school and be there when we get back. She sounds amazing, Amani says. She is. She's the best mom in the world, and my dad tries really hard, but he can't help it. It's not his fault. It's okay, Daniel, really. Thanks for telling us. We all stare at the fire for a while, thinking about stuff, until Amani finally takes her turn. My secret is I know why the search parties haven't found us. How could you know that? Because I know about the Viz, she says confidently. What's the Viz? Viz is short for visibility, which is really important for flying helicopters. My dad was a pilot in the Marines, and he talked about how dangerous it was flying in low vis, especially in mountain country. Did you notice the clouds have been so low we can't see the mountaintops? Sometimes we can't see the mountains at all. I'm pretty sure search and rescue would be grounded in weather like this. The Viz! Wow! Who knew? Mia sounds amazed. It is amazing that Amani would know about helicopters, but even more amazing is the clever way she avoided saying anything really personal. Maybe next time. It doesn't matter if she talks about her family, because I know I can trust her with my life. Mia, too. I fall asleep with my head on my knees and dream that I'm already on the river, not on a raft, but floating in a swim tube. My whole family is with me, my little brothers, my mom and dad. We're floating together, going slowly around and around in our swim tubes. We're so happy, and our laughter sounds like the river. Day 5, Chapter 24. Hang on. The dawn is murky and dim. The sun can barely make it through the thick rain clouds. We're so pumped to try out the raft that we decide to postpone breakfast until later in the day. Staying ahead of the enemy is more important than filling our bellies. The raft is way too heavy to lift, so we put smaller logs under it as rollers. That was Amani's suggestion. I'm getting the idea she's good at math and science and geometry. Stuff like that. Not exactly my strong area. I'm more about daydreaming and drawing. We shove the raft, pushing it with all our might, and Amani's plan works. The raft rolls slowly over the smaller logs and slips into the shallow water at the edge of the river. Mia ties the raft to the trunk of a tree to keep it from drifting off before we're ready to go. We don't have life jackets, so it's super important nobody lets go of the ropes, Mia says, tightening the straps on her backpack. Does everybody know how to swim? I can do the crawl, Amani says. Daniel? Dog paddle, but I can keep my head above water. She rolls her eyes. Just stay on the raft, please. Mia unties the rope. We give the raft a shove and climb on, gripping the ropes. We don't have a paddle, so the raft is on its own, free to move with the current. At first we remain close to the shore, in knee-deep water, barely moving. Slowly we drift away from the riverbank and the speed increases. This is so great, Mia shouts. Thank you, Amani. Thank you, Daniel. The three of us are seated with our knees up, clinging to the black ropes that tie the logs together. Sort of like riding a horse. Not that I've ever ridden a horse. We're seeing the world go by, just above water level. The view from the top of the ravine was so different. It's like another world. As the raft drifts into the middle of the river, we start going even faster. It's working! We're making better progress than we could possibly do on foot. It seems entirely possible that by the end of the day, we'll get where we need to go. The pickup location for rafting expeditions, which means a road and rescue. I'm grinning so hard it almost hurts. I'm thinking how great it will be to get back home, see my little brothers and my mom and dad, the stories I'll have to tell. The flood, the lion, the crazy fight with the bully who almost wrecked everything, and the raft, especially the raft. How we built it all by ourselves, working together from start to finish. If only my family could see me now, riding the crazy river. I wonder what my dad would think. Would it make him proud? Would it help him better? One thing for sure, once I'm back home, I'm going to finish my special project. Months ago, I got this idea for a graphic novel called What's Wrong with My Dad. At first, I was really excited and drew a bunch of panels about why Dad had to go back to the hospital last year, where they put him on a new medicine to help with his bipolar disorder. But my drawings sucked, so I stopped working on it. Daniel, wake up! Mia is looking at me with concern. I wasn't asleep. Are you kidding? You were a million miles away. We need to know if you can hear it too. Hear what? Just listen. I realize I've been hearing it for a while. A distant roaring that echoes off the ravine walls. I know that sound. We heard a lot of it the first day of the river. White water rapids. Dead ahead. Hang on! I scream. Stay on the raft! 25. Fear of dying scared. Rivers get crazy when they flow downhill. Everything speeds up, and the boil of waves gives off a mist that charges the air with an electric smell. Our log raft begins to buck and bob as if alive. We're thrown from side to side, desperate to keep balance. What had been fun in the inflatable raft, with a guide in charge, is out of control terrifying when you have no way to steer. Stay in the middle! Mia screams. I think she means stay as close to the center of the raft as possible. We're scraping past rocks that protrude from the thrashing water. Get your foot in the way and you might lose it. Amani has this fierce look like she's trying to calm the water with her eyes. Her dreads are soaked. We're all drenched, which makes it more difficult to hang on to the rope with slippery hands. The raft pivots around as we enter a whirlpool. We're flying backward through the roaring waves, which means we can't see what's coming. I have never been so scared in my life. Not fun scared. Fear of dying scared. Mia yells something, but her words are swallowed by the roar of the rapids. I'm getting splashed in the face, so my glasses are blurry. Good thing they have an elastic strap, or they'd be torn from my face. Blind and careening backward, it's all I can do to hang on. Suddenly, we enter calmer water, and the raft starts to spin the other way. I assume the worst is over. That's good because my arms are shaking from the effort of holding tight to the rope, but the river is playing tricks. The whitewater isn't done with us. Not yet. Boom! We're back in it. The logs leap and shift under us as we crash from rock to rock. I can't see a thing. I try to wipe my glasses without letting go of the rope, but it's impossible. It's all I can do not to cry out for my mom. Not that anybody could hear me if I did. Is this how Dad feels when he's out of control? Terrified and excited at the same time? It's like the river wants to wreck us, like it's throwing a tantrum as it tears the raft apart. Please stop. Make it stop. Please, please, please. I thought that building a raft was a great idea. What a moron. I never thought it through what whitewater rapids could do to a runaway raft. No paddles, no ability to steer, no life jackets. What were we thinking? A wave smashes into my open mouth, choking me. I cough so hard I almost fall off. Amani snags my shirt and yanks me back from the edge. Thank you, thank you. Not that I can tell her because I'm still coughing. Look out! Mia screams. My glasses clear just enough to see what she means. We're speeding into a sharp curve where the waves break against the ravine wall. Nothing we can do to control the raft. We're completely at the mercy of waves and a raging current heading right for the wall. If we hit it, we'll be killed. At the last possible second, a wave pushes us sideways. The log scrapes the ravine wall, and then we're back in the middle. The worst must be over now, right? Wrong, because an eddy snatches the raft, pulling us toward the opposite shore. The river suddenly takes a steep drop. We plunge into the foaming rapids, and for a moment the raft is underwater, sinking out from under us. Then it rises, tipping us backward and crashes forward again. Something is wrong. The ropes that hold the raft together are loosening. And dead ahead, a huge rock. We're aiming right at it, carried on the crest of a wave. We slam into the rock. Amani and Mia shoot over the top and land on the sandy shore. I'm thrown sideways, my hands tangled in the rope. I want to get off, try to swim to the shore, but I can't. I'm tied to the dying raft as the waves tear it apart. The separated logs twirl into the raging current, and I'm dragged underwater by the tangle of ropes. Can't breathe. Can't see. If I can't get loose, I'll drown.